Hey everyone! Today we're going to be making a basic chocolate banana cream pie. If you're interested in a cool, creamy summer dessert, or just love bananas and chocolate, this is always a go-to recipe. First, we'll start with the ingredients. A quarter cup of cornstarch, half a cup of sugar, pinch of salt, 2 cups of whole milk, 4 large egg yolks, 3 ounces of chocolate, and we're going to try and get a chocolate bar so that we can use the rest to finish it off later. 2 bananas, 1 cup of heavy cream. We're also going to use a 9-inch pie crust. Today we're going to use a store-bought pie crust. In the future, there might be a video talking about how to make our own buttery, flaky pie crust. Our first step is going to be making the cream. This is going to be the bulk of today's recipe, so it's going to require the most practice and patience to get it just right. Let's start with our quarter cup of cornstarch, half a cup of sugar, and a pinch of salt. Next, we can pour out our 2 cups of milk. For our chocolate, we're going to chop up 3 ounces of our chocolate bar. We want them to be small enough to melt when the warm cream is poured on top. We're also going to add a splash of our heavy cream to help us be able to spread it better when we mix in the cream. To get started cooking, we'll set up a saucepan, whisk, and a small heat-proof bowl with our egg yolks inside. We'll load up the saucepan with our cornstarch mixture and milk. Whisk the ingredients together until the dries are dissolved. Start heating around medium-high, and once we start to get some steam, we will start to temper in the eggs. Tempering the eggs is done to prevent the eggs from cooking too fast and clumping up in the hot milk. We slowly raise the temperature by adding the hot milk mixture into our egg yolks, about a spoonful at a time. Once the egg yolks start to get warm or semi-hot to the touch, and we've added about half of our milk mixture, we can whisk the two together back in the saucepan. This last part of the cooking process is going to require the most practice and patience. We're going to slowly cook our cream. Keeping the stove at medium-low to about medium heat, we're going to keep whisking constantly throughout, especially along the bottom of our pan. We're doing this so we don't end up with clumpy egg yolks like we tried to avoid before. We'll start to feel more resistance and thickness in our cream the closer we get to the end. To check when the cream is ready, we can either check the temperature and stop at about 170 degrees Fahrenheit, or check the texture along the back of a spoon. Here we see once you run your finger through, the custard stays in place and the path left by your finger stays dry. If the custard needed more time to cook, it would be runny and fill up the path that your finger leaves. With our cooked custard or our cream, we're going to add about half a cup to cover and melt our chocolate that we set aside earlier. We're going to mix it together with a fork until it's smooth so that we can spread it on the bottom of our pie. Now that it's smooth, we can take this chocolate spread and cover the bottom of our pie crust. Our bananas can now be sliced over at any desired thickness. After they tumble into our pie, we can take some time to spread them out evenly. With our remaining custard, we're going to use a strainer or a colander to filter out any overcooked egg pieces. If you want to skip this step, it isn't very necessary unless you really want a smooth cream. I found that when I have had overcooked pieces, they aren't noticeable anyway because of the banana slices. The texture and mouthfeel tends to blend in together, so unless you really take the time to notice the cream or you have a really chunky cream, it's usually not too big of a deal. Now that the cream is all filtered through, we're going to smooth it out over the top of our bananas. Once the top of that is as smooth as you can get, let's add some plastic wrap. As the cream cools, this will prevent any fat film from forming on the top. The pie then needs to chill out for about 2 to 3 hours. The pie will be nice, firm, and cool when it's ready. Once our pie is close to being served, we can start making our whipped cream. Pour the rest of our heavy cream into a bowl and prepare a whisk, stand mixer, or a hand mixer. We can whip in some powdered sugar or vanilla extract to help with flavor as well. This step is going to take some practice. You want to whip the cream enough so it isn't runny, but you also don't want to overmix it. If it starts to look rough and clumpy, that's a sign that you're starting to overmix. So just be on the lookout for the smooth texture. We're going to look for stiff peaks in our whisk to tell us if it's thick enough to use. Being careful for condensation, we can take the wrap off of our pie and add our whipped cream. I like to pile up the cream in the middle, then spread outwards. You can try and make it as smooth and flat as possible, or make pretty waves throughout. Just be careful not to move the cream around too much. You don't want it to start melting from being overworked. To finish off our pie, we'll get our leftover chocolate bar and use a vegetable peeler to help make some chocolate curls. And you can just spread out as many as you like all throughout the pie. Once we got all of our chocolate set, we're all done. I hope you enjoyed our step-by-step journey together, and I especially hope you enjoy the dessert creation we made today. Thanks for watching.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Slowing on. Push the end. 16, 17, 18, 19.